Good afternoon and welcome to the formal meeting of the Phoenix City Council. I will now call the meeting to order and ask the clerk to call the roll.
Councilman DeCiccio,
Here.
Councilmember Garcia,
Here.
Councilman Nowakowski, Councilwoman Pastor,
Here.
Councilwoman Stark,
Here.
Councilman Waring,
Here.
Councilwoman Williams,
Here.
Vice Mayor Guardado, Mayor Gallego.
Here. Thank you so much. We have an interpreter here with us to provide support for our Spanish language residents. Mario, would you please introduce yourself?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. My name is Mario Barajas. I will be serving as this afternoon's interpreter, Spanish interpreter. I will be making a brief announcement in Spanish. Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Mario Barajas. Yo voy a tener el placer de servirles como su intérprete de español de esta tarde. Gracias. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mario. Will the city clerk please read the 24-hour paragraph?
The titles of the following ordinance and resolution numbers on the agenda were available to the public at least 24 hours prior to this council meeting and therefore may be read by title or agenda item only. Ordinances number G 6736 through 6741, S 46910 through 46951, and resolutions 21861 through 21864.
Thank you. We next turn to our board and commission nominations. Distinguished members of the Phoenix community who are going to advise the council on several important functions. Do we have a motion to approve mayor and city council board and commission nominations?
Mayor, I'll move to approve the mayor and city council boards and commission nominations.
Second. Have a second? Thank you. All those in favor signal aye.
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 Any opposed?
Mayor, this is Councilwoman Pastor. I had a conflict with the library, with one being appointed to the library. And my conflict is because I'm with Phoenix Union. I sit on the board, but I don't know where that I was supposed to have said that.
Okay, and we should note the nominee for the library commission is a retired teacher, but not an active teacher of Phoenix Union.
Oh, okay, then I'm fine then.
Wonderful. So, and then city clerk, I think we are good on that motion to approve.
Yes, Mayor, thank you.
Wonderful. Do we have a motion on liquor license applications?
Mayor, I'd move items 2 through 10, except 4 and 10.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Item 4 is in the vice mayor's district, something she's been working hard on. So we'll turn to the vice mayor to introduce the item and for a motion.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Mayor. I just wanted to say that I'm very excited to be supporting this item today for Sister Helen, located at 19th Avenue in Northern. I wanted to welcome Sister Helen to the 19th North neighborhood and thank them for bringing our residents a wonderful amenity that we look forward to enjoying. A big thank you also to Kristen Yee, the owner, and her team, and her partner, who's also one of our greatest neighborhood leaders, Hillary Rusk, for working so hard on this project. Our office has been really focused on bringing additional dining options to our neighborhoods. So we are very excited to have a new restaurant where we can grab a bite to eat and enjoy a glass of wine. Sister Helen is also participating in our new community campaign being organized by 19 North. It's called Fine and Dine. I have been so happy to work with 19 North on launching this effort, and I am thankful to the Community and Economic Development Department for their support as well. Up and down 19th Avenue from Dunlap to Montebello, you will see blue and white Find and Dine flags making independently owned restaurants that could use our help during these tough times. Visit 19north.org for more information about this program. This is just one of many ways that we can help out our neighborhood groups over at the 19 North community, and hoping to continue to have the support of our economic development. And with that, I would like to make the motion to approve item 4.
Second.
Wonderful. Thank you, Vice Mayor, and congratulations to all involved. I believe, do have Hillary Rusk with us to provide comments on this item. Hillary, the floor is yours.
Mayor, we do not have a person for this particular item. We do have one on the next item 10.
Okay, wonderful. Well, then we'll thank Hillary, who did write in support. All those in favor, please signal aye.
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 Any opposed? Passes unanimously. We next move to item number 10, which is an item in Councilmember Garcia's district, so I will turn to him for comments and a motion, and we obviously do have one person from the public to address the council.
Mayor, could we hear from the public first, please?
Wonderful. So we will turn to Karen Crow. Karen, you are unmuted and the floor is yours. Karen, can you hear me? Okay, Karen is online, but we are having at least I am having a hard time hearing from her. She wrote in opposition and concerned about disrupting the neighborhood with live music and the way sound travels. According to the plan submitted, there is no indoor space for dancing or a band.
Mayor, this is the city clerk. We might have Carolina Fuentes, who may be with the applicant as well, on the line.
Wonderful, thank you. We will turn to Carolina.
Hello, hi. This is Carolina Fuentes. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, hi. Okay, any questions? My name is Carolina Fuentes. I'm the owner of Santo Mar Mexican Grill, here located on 2445 East Thomas Road. I'm willing to answer any questions that the neighborhood may have. I have been in the restaurant business for over 6 years, and I have never had any problems with my liquor license. I own and operate a restaurant on 32nd Street in McDowell. I never had any problems with music or anything like that. I will operate my restaurant according to the laws, according to license number 12. And of course, I do want to be a family restaurant, a neighborhood restaurant where they can come and have a great food and a great entertainment, family-oriented mayor. And I'm requesting you to approve my license. I am a single mom. I have 4 kids, and all I need to do is just earn a living, a decent living. I am not going to put any music loud that will interrupt the peace of the neighborhood. I own another restaurant in Goodyear, Dicer and Van Buren, and I have never had any problems with my liquor license or have any complaints or any of that nature, Major.
Thank you. Any council member questions? Wonderful. Thank you for your testimony. We can try Karen Crow one more time, or we can turn to Councilmember Garcia for a motion.
Yeah. Mayor?
Yes.
So we had a conversation with Carolina. We recognized there were some neighborhood issues with the previous owner. It's our assessment, and thank you, Carolina, for being on today, that it's different ownership and she's willing to work with the neighborhood. So I will be motioning to approve this.
I'll second that, Mayor.
Wonderful. Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Councilman Nowakowski.
Mayor, I just wanted to let you know that I've worked with Carolina in the past. She does a lot of good for the community, helping out the community during Thanksgiving and Christmas time. So she's a great partner to have in any neighborhood. So Carolina, thank you for everything you do in our neighborhoods and helping our community grow.
Wonderful. Great to have a personal reference. Roll call.
DeCiccio,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Nowakowski,
Yes.
Pastor,
Yes.
Stark,
Yes.
Waring,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Guardado,
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Passes 9-0.
Thank you. That concludes our liquor license applications for today. City Clerk, are we ready for ordinances, resolutions, new business, and planning and zoning?
Yes, Mayor.
Vice Mayor, do we have a motion?
Yes, we have a motion to approve items 11 through 80, except the following items 25, 26, 30, 31, 39, 40, 41, 49, 54, 55, 62, and 81. Item 29 is as corrected and excluding these items for public comment, 28, 29, 34, 35, 40, and 43.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any comments or additions? Roll call.
DeCiccio,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Nowakowski,
Yes.
Pastor,
Yes.
Stark,
Yes.
Waring,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Guardado,
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Passes 9-0.
Next is item 25, amend classification ordinance. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve item 25.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any council member comments? Roll call.
DeCiccio,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Nowakowski,
Yes.
Pastor,
Yes.
Stark,
Yes.
Waring,
No.
Williams,
Yes.
Guardado,
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Mayor, 25. I thought I heard 28. I'm sorry. I'm a no on 25.
Thank you,
My
Councilman.
error. I couldn't hear.
Will the city clerk note?
Yes, Mayor. Passes 7-2.
Next, we move to item 26, amend the pay ordinance.
Motion to approve item 26.
Second.
Any comments? Roll call.
DeCiccio,
No.
Garcia,
Yes.
Nowakowski,
Yes.
Pastor,
Yes.
Stark, Stark,
Yes.
Waring,
No.
Williams,
Yes.
Guardado,
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Passes 7-2.
Now we move to item 28, the consideration of renaming of Robert E. Lee Street. We will begin with a presentation from our Deputy City Manager, Mario Paniagua.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the council. Good afternoon. Item 28 is a proposal to rename Robert E. Lee Street. And so this presentation that we're about to go over covers the process that staff has conducted since the council initiated this process for the renaming on July 1st earlier this year. Initially, we conducted the outreach after the council approval of the item with a notification to residents, a certified mailing that went to property owners and residents that live along Robert E. Lee Street on July 9th. And we let them know of 2 upcoming community forums that were going to occur. You'll recall that when the council initiated the process to rename Robert E. Lee Street, there was authorization given because of the pandemic to conduct the community forums virtually. So those community forums were conducted virtually, giving residents in the community the chance to provide input on the proposed renaming of the streets and provide potential new names as well, which we'll cover in just a minute. Recently there was a second notification done to residents to let them know of this meeting today. As it's outlined in the process that was approved back in 2017 by the council, all this had to occur within a 90-day period, and this was the last city council formal meeting that was available within that 90-day period after July 1. I also want to note that in your report it mentions an August 10th meeting that was held with some of the residents of Robert E. Lee Street. So I want to make sure to clarify that that meeting was it was not one of the meetings that was used to meet our requirements for the community forums. It was a very small group. It was in person based on a request that was made by some of the residents who said that there was difficulty accessing technology for them, and so we agreed to hold a small in-person meeting with masks on. There was 10 people that attended that meeting, and so we had plenty of space to space out. So I just wanted to mention that we did do that meeting, but it was in no way intended to meet the requirements of the process. It was simply to accommodate that request that came in during the community input session. And so with that, I want to hand it over to Alan Stevenson to cover a little bit more about the process, and then we'll come back and talk about what's being requested today.
Thank you, Mario. As you can see with the next slide, the location of Robert E. Lee Street is within Council District 2 in the northern part of the city. The largest chunk of road right-of-way there is from 52nd Street to 40th Street. That is east of the 51st SR 51 freeway, and there's a small segment that is west over by Cave Creek Road. Within this area, there are 131 total properties that abut Robert E. Lee and get their address off of it. So there are some other properties, but they are not impacted because their street address is not off of Robert E. Lee. The city records show that this street was originally named Lee Street, and then sometime between 1960 and 61, the Maricopa County, which had jurisdiction at the time, renamed that street to Robert E. Lee, and then it was annexed into the city of Phoenix in 1988 as Robert E. Lee Street. One of the things that the council asked us to do in July when they authorized us going forward with this process is to make sure we had a robust outreach process. And so Mario outlined the WebEx meetings that we had and the efforts there, but we also had a dedicated web page that was created with a lot of information on there, a web comment form, so people could go in, submit, click a button and submit their comments. There was a dedicated email address for any comments and questions. As part of our input process, we had 117 participants register for the various community forum meetings that we had, and we received 97 total comments for the Robert E. Lee Street. And in terms of the overall summary of what we had, in terms of our comments, there were slightly more people in favor of renaming overall, and for residents or those immediately adjacent to the street, there was slightly more indicated they opposed the renaming. We did include the completed verbatim comments printed in attachment A of your packet, so you could see all of the comments that staff received along the way to make sure that we captured those correctly. With that, I'm going to turn it back over to Mario, who is going to talk about the next steps going from here.
Thank you, Alan. One other point I forgot to mention when I brought up the in-person meeting, there was a request by some of those residents to do additional in-person meetings, and the city denied doing those, again, because of the pandemic, and wanted to make sure that health and safety is not compromised. But I just wanted to make sure that was something that that was acknowledged, that we had residents request that be acknowledged. And so one of the things that did come up during the discussions with the community, and city staff has worked with members of the community as well as mayor, members of the council to examine a potential process for property owners who actually are located on Robert E. Lee Street to provide their preference of a new name to the city council. And so, we've outlined a process in your packet for a vote on a recommendation for the new name by property owners on the affected street, where they would rank their top 5 name choices, and each of the rankings would get a numerical value. The highest ranked would get a higher value, so that the council could see the extent of the support among the proposed names. That information would be brought back to the city council at a future meeting. But the city council has to take the action to adopt a new name and that would, again, that would happen at a future meeting. But an ordinance has to be approved on a new street name, and so that has to be a council decision. The recommendation by the residents would only be advisory in nature, but it's something that the council could consider. Just one thing to mention, there are some names that are proposed with some pretty negative connotations, and even though they're technically eligible, the council may decide that some of those names are inappropriate, and so we just have to leave the ability of the council to make that decision down the road. Again, it's the council that formally adopts the new names of the street. The other thing that's outlined in your packet is a reimbursement policy for property owners, residents, and business owners who are affected. And so one of the things that was very, very important to a lot of the affected residents was that there be a clear and simple process and policy regarding reimbursement of costs. And so we've outlined that in your packet, where costs that are directly associated with the renaming of a street for affected residents would be reimbursed. Although we put in an estimate of costs at approximately $24,000 for Robert E. Lee Street, there's not a cap on individual reimbursements. And so if we needed to, we would seek a budget adjustment to make adjustments to that number if it's not exactly right. We talked about creating a form that's simple for people to use, either electronically over the web, where they could submit copies of their receipts, or in hard copy form through the mail or in person that could be dropped off for people that prefer to do the business that way. So we had requests for both. We also are clarifying that there's not an overall time limit. So if a couple years down the road someone realizes that there's something that needs to be changed for an address update, and it cost money, we would look to reimburse them at that point. And if somebody came in multiple times because they found different items that needed to have their costs reimbursed, there's no limit on that either. And so we want to try to make this as easy as we can on the affected residents. The other thing that's important for the folks that are affected, and I know for members of this council, was to make sure that this is a process that's as easy as can be when people need to change those addresses. So we've made all kinds of resources available online for information about how to update addresses and where we know those need to be updated. And so, but we didn't limit it to that. We've got staff in the library. Rita Hamilton has overseen directly making sure that there were staff in the library that are available to speak directly with people that need assistance with making address changes and walking them through that, helping them through that as much as possible. And so we're trying to address the several elements that might be needed there. The main thing is, again, just making it as easy as we can for folks that need the help. So at this point, staff requests approval to change the name of Robert E. Lee Street with a delayed decision on the new name, with approving that the proposed street name selection process that's outlined in your report be approved, as well as the proposed cost reimbursement policy for impacted residents, businesses, and property owners. With that, Mayor, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Before I turn to my colleagues for questions, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve item 28.
Second.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. We have a motion and a second. And we do have 3 members of the public to address the council, as well as we received 6 written comments in support and 1 neutral. Council member comments or questions?
So, Mayor, turn my camera on. Thank you. We got a long letter from Mr. Johnston that lives on the street, and he had a pretty exhaustive list of different notification requirements. And I don't know if staff got a copy of this, but it was pretty thorough, and hopefully we've taken a look at that. It was probably, let's see, 4 pages of different contacts that would need to be updated. And I just want to make sure if staff would put on the record that they've seen this letter, or they've at least acknowledged this list in some form.
Yeah. Mayor and Councilwoman Stark, yes, we have seen the letter from Mr. Johnston.
All right.
And I've also had several conversations with Mr. Johnston about that. And so one of the things that we've made clear is that we are not limiting, although we posted several examples of address changes that need to be updated on our website, we're not limited to those things. And so we've made it clear that if the cost is directly associated with the renaming as a result of renaming the street from Robert E. Lee, we will reimburse those costs. And so we've left that open, and it would include the items that he identified in his report. One other clarification is we don't reimburse for people's time, those kinds of expenses. It's really just the costs that are associated directly with updating an address.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Seeing no other council people ready to speak, we will go to citizen comments. We'll begin with Jeremy Helfgott, followed by Christine Petrosky.
Good afternoon. Am I on?
You are.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, members of the council. Jeremy Helfgott on behalf of the city's Human Relations Commission. I will keep this very brief. I don't think there's a need to reiterate points that have been made to you multiple times, except to say that the Human Relations Commission of the city has studied this issue closely over the past several years and has repeatedly endorsed the changing of the name of this street because of the nature of the implication of who and what it honors, and the fact that that is not reflective of our inclusion of all of our communities, particularly our minority communities and our African American community. So on the commission's behalf, I ask for each of you to please support this motion today with a yes vote. And if I may take a moment personally, as a resident of the city, as someone who does business and shops and dines and spends most of my recreation time and dollars in this city, I want to thank you, Mayor, for your leadership on this. Thank the members of the council who have joined you in driving this forward. I think making this change is going to do a great credit to our city. It's something that has been a black eye, as it were, for a while. And I very much appreciate this action being on the table today and personally look forward to seeing it pass. And with that, I thank you, and I'm happy to take any questions if there are any.
Thank you. Not seeing any questions, we will move to Christine, followed by Jacob Rayford.
Yeah, this is Christine.
Wonderful, thank you.
Okay. I guess I would have to say I can tell this is a fait accompli right from the beginning. And it's not that I am 100% opposed on the arguments related to it. There's a part of me that says I have to spend an awful lot of time and some amount of money making all kinds of changes because, and I hate to put it this way, but to be, well, for this matter. I've lived on Robert E. Lee for over 20 years, and so that means I have a heck of a lot of people and businesses that I have to notify related to a street name change. It bothers me, as I said, that this is a fait accompli. This was something that you guys decided right from the beginning was going to be done. And I know I had talked to somebody, I think it was Dave, 3-4 years ago when it was first offered as a change and opposed it at that time. So I guess you could say I'm opposed, though I know you're going to do it. And it somehow bothers me that you're, in a way that you're doing it. I understand, in essence, why you're doing it, but I'm opposed to why you're doing it. I think there's better ways to use the resources of the city than, $25,000, $35,000. There's a lot of people in these streets that are older like me who've lived on the streets for a long time. There's also an awful lot of renters and people who've just moved here. It's a street name. It's not. I don't know. I don't know how to make my comments make any more sense than it bothers me that you all have made up your mind before you even took comments. Okay, I guess that's.
Thank you for your testimony. Our final speaker on this item will be Jacob.
Thank you. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can.
Perfect. Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, members of the council. I guess my position was already expressed by the gentleman before, so I'd like my comments to serve as a direct response to who had spoke prior to me. So the state of Arizona was founded in 1912, an entire 47 years after the defeat of an attempt to split a nation in two so that a society could persist and profit from the genocidal institution of chattel slavery. The ownership of another human being, the legitimate industrialization of bigotry, was seen as such an elementary right that racist white warlords, rebels, the literal antithesis of patriots, sacrificed their own white soldiers to preserve the right to own human beings like property. The right to beat them, the right to kill them, the right to force themselves upon them, the right to sell them, the right to split their families, the right to force inbreeding, the right to force free labor from literal sunrise to sunset, the right to maim them for attempting to escape to freedom and enjoy only a fraction of liberty and equity other human beings are granted simply for being born white. So those are ideals of a warlord this city chooses to monumentalize by granting city streets his namesake. My maternal grandparents were born slaves. Their parents were slaves. My paternal great-grandmother, whom I knew, her grandparents were slaves. I feel nothing but anger when I see emblems romanticizing a time my recent ancestors were treated worse than horses. In the South, the line between regretful history and heritage has been blurred by a lack of accountability and inclusivity. We, in a region not recognized by the South as even being the South, must not emulate the mistakes our neighbors are only just now coming to terms with. Let's honor the vibrancy and diversity of Phoenix with names emblematic, hopefulness, and community. As a member of the community, I fully support the renaming of Robert E. Lee Street. My name is Jacob Rayford, and thank you.
Thank you. That concludes our testimony from the public. Do we have any council member comments? Thank you to all who's been involved in this process, our staff, the community members. Many people have shared very personal stories. When we began this process, we had a council vote of 9-0, which was, I think, from my perspective, a very important vote, and I appreciate all that colleagues have done to move this forward. Unless anyone has any additional comments, we will take the next step with a roll call. All right, roll call.
DeCiccio.
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes.
Nowakowski.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Stark.
Yes.
Waring.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Guardado.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Passes 9-0.
We next move to item 29 as revised, the consideration of renaming Peak Drive.
Yes, Mayor, members of the council. So many similar elements in this presentation, so we'll just quickly cover the unique things that apply to Peak. And so I'm going to turn it over to Alan to cover those elements, and then we'll get back to you for a vote on this item.
Thank you, Mario. Mayor, members of council, this particular street, Peak Drive, there are 20 single-family residential parcels that are addressed off of it for this small portion that connects Glendale and Lincoln Road up to the Phoenix Mountain Preserve area, shown in purple on the map here. In this case, we did follow the exact same public comment process where we had the website with all the information, the web comment form, dedicated email address. We also had 117 participants in the community forums for this one as well, and received 129 total comments for this particular street. As part of that process, we did obviously do all the mailings and outreach to have all that information, and had a very good outreach comment process as part of this. So in terms of what we got here, for all of our commenters, there were a majority in favor of renaming the street. For residents that are on the street that indicated a position for those property owners that were more opposed than supported the renaming of it, we did include a complete verbatim of all the comments that we got as attachment B within your packet overall. And with that, I'm going to turn it back to Mario. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. Mayor, members of the council. So a very similar request here for approval of the change of the name of Peak Drive, as well as approving the proposed new street name selection process and the proposed cost reimbursement policy for impacted residents, business owners, and property owners. With that, that concludes our presentation. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you both for your hard work on this item. We received online 22 comments in support, 6 in opposition, and 2 who were neutral. We also have 10 speakers from the public to address the council. Before we do that, Vice Mayor, do we have a motion?
Yes, motion to approve item 29 as revised.
Second.
Motion from our Vice Mayor, second from Councilman DeCiccio, who represents the area. Would any council members like to make comments before we hear from the public? All right, we will begin with public comments with Ginger Sykes-Torres, followed by Jared Ogden.
Hello, Honorable Mayor Gallego and Honorable City Council members. Thank you for considering this street name change. I will be brief today. I'm a homeowner in North Central Phoenix, and I am an enrolled member of the Navajo Nation. I strongly support the street renaming. Changing the street name is healthy for our community. This is an opportunity to eliminate using a term that is hurtful and replace it with one that is respectful and inclusive of all city residents, including Native American tribal members like myself. It is the decent thing to do. Thank you, Mayor, for your leadership, and thank you to the city for holding extensive public input opportunities for homeowners, residents, and members of the public to provide written comments and to let all voices be heard on this issue. I'm confident that you have adequate information to make a decision without delaying the process further. This concludes my comments. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your testimony. Jared will be followed by Ann Ender.
Council. Hello, Mayor and Council. Can you hear me?
We can.
Excellent. My name, Mayor Gallego and members of the council, my name is Jared Ogden, and I want to share with you my thoughts about the time in my life that I breathed the same rare air as Charles H. Keating IV, a son of Phoenix, who was killed in combat May 3rd, 2016, as a Navy SEAL. His friends knew him as Chuck, and I first got to know him during my time at BUDS, or Basic Underwater Demolition / SEAL Training, the rigorous 6-month Navy SEAL selection course. This is where I was blessed to meet a man with magnetic personality who, regardless of the dire circumstance, could always find the humor in any situation. Chuck died, as I said, in 2016 in heavy combat, protecting the ideals that we're talking about right now in this meeting, ideals that our country is founded upon, and defending people he did not know. While his memory will live on with his family and his extended Navy SEAL family, a man of this caliber, who is from Phoenix, who sacrificed his life, is most deserving to be remembered in Phoenix in this way. This is the way that Chuck will live on. And I guarantee you that some young kid is going to read the sign, do the research, and learn Chuck's story. And that's going to have impact on that kid. And it's not just going to be one kid. It's going to be a lot. It's within your power to create this legacy. And I humbly ask the council to support its own son, the son of Phoenix, Charles H. Keating IV, through this memorial. This would be a wonderful way to honor Chuck's life and serve as a reminder to all that our freedom is paid for with blood. Mayor, council, thank you very much.
Thank you. Ann will be followed by Jacob Rayford.
Mayor Gallego, can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you so much, Mayor Gallego and the council. That's a really tough that comment to follow, and it's an emotional one. I'm here to support everything that Jared just said, that if we indeed have to make a change to the name of this street, I just really impress upon you that honoring Charles Keating IV, Charlie or Chuck, would really be an honor that would have, it just would be the right thing to do. I'm sorry, I'm a little choked up. You know, he went to Arcadia High School, and as he was a runner, and he ran up and down Squaw Peak, Piestewa Peak, the whole area. That was a place for him. And it just seems appropriate that that street would be named after him. He also, as Jared mentioned, you know, he was actually in college at Indiana University, and he was running cross country, And it was that day on September 11th that they were out running, and he made that decision to pursue a career in the Navy SEAL community. So I'm just going to end by saying, if indeed we have to make a name change, and I do very much respect and support the people that live on the street today that do not want to make that change. I'm just asking if in the event it's voted in to do the change, that will please consider renaming it after Charles K. Keating IV, H. Keating IV. I'm sorry. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your testimony. Jacob will be next, followed by Javier Torres.
Thank you for allowing me back. I myself am also moved by what the gentleman had said earlier in regards to renaming it. Again, I'm speaking as a Black man in solidarity with the Native community, underrepresented cultural communities, and humanity in general. But I've been completely bewildered how a city that, if you walk past shops at Sky Harbor, could be surmised to honor and dignify the people of it, the culture of a people that have called this land home for tens of thousands of years, let allow roads to be named after terminology egregiously offensive. The phrase is censored on the website, is censored here this afternoon. How is it allowed to be erected in the first place? It's like, how dare we allow this to continue? So I applaud the inevitable vote to change this. But for those in opposition, here's an excerpt from Wikipedia describing its etymology. The English word, which we are not going to use today, is an ethnic and sexual slur, historically used for indigenous North American women. Contemporary use of this term, especially by non-natives, is considered offensive, derogatory, misogynist, and racist. Opposition to renaming of this drive, yet appropriately embracing cultural symbols, traditional clothing, living on this land, it makes every supposedly genuine recognition of their culture look performative and disingenuous from someone outside their perspective, such as myself. You cannot choose what aspects of a people to honor and what parts to disregard. It just doesn't work that way. Vicariously, I'm offended. Vicariously, I feel angered. Vicariously, I'm hurt. This land means so much to so many people for it to be weaponized against their integrity by those too myopic to empathize. The Phoenix of 2020 must advocate for inclusiveness and fair representation of the most marginalized. We must lead with love. So please, let's change this offensive name to something more inclusive. Thank you.
Thank you. Javier is next. He will be followed by Ernest Martinez.
Thank you, Mayor Gallego. I am not Native American, and I feel that this conversation about whether or not this term is offensive to Native Americans is a conversation that should be had between and amongst Native Americans. And those of us who are not Native should not be telling Native Americans, I'm sorry, but a term is not offensive to you. I don't think this term is offensive to you. That I feel is improper, and I feel that there are legitimate arguments that can be made about the street renaming process, but telling a community that you do not feel that this term is offensive to them, I feel is improper. I don't feel that we would do that to African Americans and tell them that the N-word is not offensive to them. I don't feel that we would do that to our Jewish brothers and sisters and tell them that anti-Semitic slurs should not be offensive to them. So I respectfully ask everyone who's not Native American, who's on this call, to please consider whether or not it's proper for you to be telling another community what they should and should not consider to be offensive. I personally don't feel it's my place to tell someone else what their experience and their history and their context means to them. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Ernest Martinez will be followed by Jeremy Helfgott.
Thank you. My name is Ernest Martinez, and my wife, Betty, is Navajo. I have been a homeowner near the base of Payasua Peak for 30 years and regularly hike the summit and circumference trails. I have attended all 3 public hearings and wish to thank city staff for their dedication and time. I am in strong support of changing the name of the street that goes through the neighborhood and to the last ramada in the park to Payasua Peak Drive. I feel we have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to give the street a truly meaningful and permanent name that honors not just Lower Payestiwa, but also the courageous sacrifices of all our fallen heroes and our military in protecting our country and our freedom. In the process, we get rid of a slur offensive to our Native American community and to many of us. However, I'm not in favor of the staff proposal for a new additional process of a certified survey limited to the 20 homeowners on the street. Although the rankings would be advisory in nature, I believe that after 2 months of testimony, certified letters to the homeowners twice, street signs, multiple opportunities and methods to comment, and the participation of the homeowners in all 3 hearings, that the hearings that were specifically set up to decide on the proposed street name change have more than met the public comment requirements. Lastly, based on the revised attachment B, listing the comments, 70% of the comments that suggested street names recommended Payasiwa Peak Drive. Accordingly, instead of waiting 1.5 months or more for the result of another comment process, I urge City Council to reject the proposed new comment process and vote instead tonight, September the 16th, to replace the current name of the street with Payasiwa Peak Drive. Thank you for your dedication and work in leading this great city.
Thank you for your testimony. Jeremy will be followed by Linda Graff.
Thank you, Mayor. Can you hear me?
We can.
Thank you again, Mayor, members of the council. Again, Jeremy Helfgott on behalf of the city's Human Relations Commission. I will simply reassert everything that I stated on the previous item with particular recognition in this case and acknowledgement of our indigenous communities and the contributions they have made and continue to make to our city, to our community as a whole, and to our culture. And again, ask for your yes vote on this matter on the commission's behalf. And on a personal note, we'll add my own request for your endorsement of this measure as well. And I thank you all very much for your time. And again, Mayor, thank you for your leadership. If there are any questions.
Wonderful, Jeremy. Thank you so much. Please thank the commission. Linda is next, followed by Suta Callinglast.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I am opposed to changing the street name not because of lack of concern for the Native American community, but because of the way this has been handled since 2017. However, if the council moves forward with a change, please note the renaming policy clearly states, quote, "The name cannot be used anywhere else in the Phoenix metropolitan area," unquote. It does not distinguish between freeways and streets, so Payasiwa is not eligible for the street name. The Payasiwa Freeway is just blocks away. If the council proceeds with that name, you're again ignoring your own city policy to meet your political whims. Let the street's homeowners choose. The council's intentions are obvious. Attachment C, list of eligible names submitted by the community, lists Payasiwa Peak Drive first, though all the others on the list are in alphabetical order, which would place Payasiwa last on the list, and Payasiwa Peak Drive was not submitted by the community. It was submitted by the mayor. Other names proposed were left off the list. For example, on page 132 on the agenda packet, one person's comments proposes Mountain Peak Drive and Desert Peak Drive, but they are not on the list of eligible or ineligible names. My comments submitted July 19th are also not included in the report. It included several issues I felt were important and 3 additional proposed street names, including Park Place, Heritage Drive, and Spirit Drive. Many of the citizens' comments were cut short on the listing. Never mind that Payasiwa is, quote, "a familiar name in the Phoenix area," unquote, as stated in the agenda summary. It may be familiar, but the folks that are familiar with it, who happen to drive up the street, head to the park, or hike the mountain, are not having to pronounce it and spell it daily like the residents will need to do from now on when dealing with mail, deliveries, service calls, orders for products, and any business requiring use of the street name. If the council approves the changing the street name, let the street residents choose the name. Thank you.
Thank you. Suta will be followed by James Covarrubias.
Thank you. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Thank you. My name is Suta Callinglast. I am the executive director of an educational nonprofit located on 24th Street in Camelback. Our focus is on environmental and social injustices, and I'm also a cultural humility trainer and consultant. I'm a little nervous because my story is personal. I moved to the Phoenix Valley area in 2011, and I got a job to get my master's degree. I got a job at an intertribal council organization, and I lived by Paiestawa my entire stay here in the valley. And one day I went to work, and I must have been red, but the guy I worked with, a middle-aged white man, said, "Oh, did you go running?" And I said, "Yes, I did." And he said, "Where'd you go?" I said, "I went to Paiestawa." And he said, "You mean S?" And I said, "No, I don't mean that." "You mean S?" And I said, "No, I don't mean that." And he said, "What are you getting offended for? I'm simply saying S, which is simply not offensive anymore." And I said, "How about you let me, as a Native woman, tell you what is offensive to me?" Because 2 years prior to that, I had been at a concert in Calgary, and I refused to dance with a white male my age. I'm in my 30s. And we met each other again out in the parking lot after the concert was over. And it wasn't a face-to-face meeting. I heard, "Hey, you effing S." And just as I turned around to the direction of the voice, a full beer can flew past my head about a foot away and hit the ground in front of me. And if nobody is aware, Arizona has the third largest Native population, also the third largest rate of missing and murdered Indigenous women, and a call to action to help. So I want everybody to know that there is serious violence that comes with just a word, and it's never just a word. And there are Native women out there like me who are still dealing with the violent repercussions of the word. Thank you for your consideration in changing the name.
Thank you for your testimony. Our final speaker on this item will be Jim or James.
And Native American. I'm in favor of renaming Squaw Peak Drive to Paiestawa Peak Drive. The process should have been monitored by those who are directly connected to the main cultures affected by such an important step in Phoenix's history. That would be Native American military veterans. They are the direct connection for reasons a derogatory racist name should be changed to an honorable name, addressing the patriotic and cultural ties exemplified by the sacrifice of Army Specialist Lori Paiestawa. We do 3 important steps with a new name change. We honor the sacrifice of all military killed in action. We honor the Native American history of our culturally rich state. And we change the racial slur to a proud, respectable name. Our elected officials and those appointed by these same officials need to look at the integrity of our city and state. They need to make a decision worthy of their position and worthy of honoring those who sacrifice their lives in defense of our country. Listen to the Native American veterans and do what is honorable and respectful. Step up and be worthy of this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. That is our final speaker from the public. I will turn to our staff now, and if our staff could address, is Paiestawa Peak Road an eligible name for the street?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, Mayor, I'm going to have Alan just give a quick explanation of why that's the case, even though Paiestawa is already the name of the freeway, why it's still eligible as a name for this residential street.
Mayor, members of council, when this issue was raised by a commenter on the process, I did visit with our staff person who's in charge of the street naming process, who's been doing it for a little over 10 years. And what he does with these analysis is really look at, is there an opportunity for there to be a mistake as it relates to sending emergency vehicles to a different place. And the Piestewa Freeway, which most people refer to as State Route 51, not the Piestewa Freeway, versus Piestewa Peak Drive, there will not be a very good likelihood of any conflict in that. And so that's why we are confident in saying that Piestewa Peak Drive is still a name that could be used if that's what's ultimately selected by the council.
Thank you, Alan, and thank you to our professional staff who make sure our first responders have the ability to find and reach the address. It's good to spotlight the work that goes into street naming throughout our city and to making sure we support that 911 response. Council member comments or questions?
Mayor?
Councilman DeCiccio.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm glad we're finally doing this. We brought this issue up for some time now, and I've been fully supportive of changing the name. And I just think that what's happening around the world, around the country in particular, we're just getting so mixed up on things where things that would be logical have already been divided, and become divisive. And this is a real easy test. It's an incredibly simple test that we should take. Is this a name you would want in front of your daughter, your sister, or and even your mother? And the answer is no, you wouldn't want that. So why would we want that on the street? If we're not willing to put that in front of our own family names, we would not want that on the street. From my perspective, this should have been done a very long time ago. We do need to listen to the residents in that neighborhood because they have to live there. And I think that's critical that they, have a strong weight when it comes to the name change because that is their personal street. But at the same time, we need to be able to look at this and other things that would be problematic and problems for others. And this is a real problem name. It's an extremely offensive name. It's a derogatory name. And again, is this a name you would want in front of your daughter, your mother, or your sister? And I think the answer is very simple. It's a big time no. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman. Well said. We are a city that is home to one of the largest Native American communities of American cities, and we want to have streets where particularly our young Native American women can feel proud and move forward. So thank you for your comments. Any additional council member comments? Roll call.
DeCiccio.
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes.
Nowakowski.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Stark.
Yes.
Waring.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Guardado.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Passes 9-0.
Thank you. We next move to item 30. Will the city clerk please read the title?
Item 30 is for ordinance G6741, an ordinance repealing Chapter 37 Water of the Phoenix City Code and amending the Phoenix City Code by adding of new Chapter 37 relating to water.
Thank you. Vice Mayor, do we have a motion?
Yes, we have a motion to approve item 30.
Second.
And a second. Did we get a second?
Yes. Second.
Okay, wonderful. Any council member comments or questions? Roll call.
DeCiccio.
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes.
Nowakowski.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Stark.
Yes.
Waring.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Guardado.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Passes 9-0.
Item 31 relates to our sewer system. Will the city clerk please read the title?
Item 31 is for ordinance G6740, an ordinance amending Chapter 28 of the Phoenix City Code pertaining to sewers.
Vice Mayor, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve item 31.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any council member comments or questions? Roll call.
DeCiccio,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Nowakowski,
Yes.
Pastor,
Yes.
Stark,
Yes.
Waring,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Guardado,
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Passes 9-0.
Thank you. We next move to item 34, which is to amend the contract with St. Vincent de Paul for COVID-19 heat relief services. Do we have a motion?
Yes, motion to approve item 34.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. This is a great partnership where we have been working with St. Vincent de Paul for relief services for people experiencing homelessness. Want to thank them for partnering with us and then continuing that partnership as we extended the heat relief in our convention center. We've seen over 50 days of temperatures above 110 degrees this summer, a record-setting heat, and I'm proud our convention center has opened its doors to provide a heat respite center where people can access water, meals, and space to cool down safely and with social distance. So thank you to St. Vincent de Paul for partnering with us on many things, including this particular endeavor. Got to visit and the food smelled wonderful. So I will be voting to support continuing additional relief and meal delivery. Do we have council member comments? We do have two members of the public to address the council on this item. So we will go next to public comment, beginning with Elizabeth.
Oh, sorry about the noise. We're up by Cass. What I wanted to say is that obviously I support the giving of water bottles, but I find whenever I look at these allocations that they're simply not enough. And sometimes the funds don't come directly from the city of Phoenix. I find there are reallocations of programs that you just apply for, and it isn't a commitment long term from other city funds. What I would say is that water may not be the only cooling necessary. The cooling in the convention center may not be the only cooling necessary. For example, on those lots owned by the county, there were temperatures recorded of up to 160 degrees. There's no shade on those lots, and it's easy to pass the buck and say that in the county runs it, but the Phoenix PD are sending people there and threatening people with arrest if they don't go there. So it is people's responsibility to care about those extreme temperatures and the people that have actually died on those lots, and not just from drug overdose or other things you can shame people about or people might be shamed about. People have died from dehydration, and it was confirmed by a coroner. And then finally, I just wanted to say, I think, how much does a life cost? And I think it costs a lot more than $80,000. And if that's to be spread out over at least 4,000 individuals who were counted on any one day in Maricopa County, if that's supposed to be the help. I know the city of Phoenix can't cover all of Maricopa County, but it's just not enough, and we need housing, and that's it.
Our final speaker on this item will be Alicia McKinley.
Thank you. I'm addressing the matter of the lots also. The they were hotter than fish grease, and
And I'm sorry, this item, we are hearing testimony on whether we should provide additional food relief at the convention center.
Oh, okay. So you're just addressing that. Okay. On the food, yeah, I believe that it should be food given to those that are hungry, and the water is just not enough. You know, it's just not enough water that we, pass around. We even get water ourselves. So, it's just not enough water, and it's not enough food that, like people, they want to stop giving out the food. And so whose ideal is it to like take food away from a person that's hungry? So I'm just addressing that. And also I would just like to say that when the CCO spoke about would you let your mom or your sister or your brother or your family member name a street? Well, would you let your mom, your sister, or your brother or your pet, which you use pets as you treat them better than humans? Would you let them be hungry or go through what we've been through in this past heat? So okay, that's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your testimony. That concludes public testimony on this item. Any additional council member comments? Roll call.
DeCiccio.
Yes.
I apologize. DeCiccio.
Oh, I'm sorry. I said yes.
Thank you so much. Garcia.
You bet.
Yes.
Nowakowski.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Stark.
Yes.
Waring.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Guardado.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Passes 9-0.
Thank you. Next, we move to item 35, which is additional eviction prevention assistance, a partnership with ADOH. Do we have a motion?
Yes, motion to approve item 35.
Second.
Another important program to help residents impacted in our community. Any council member comments? Roll call.
DeCiccio.
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes.
Nowakowski.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Stark.
Yes.
Waring.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Guardado.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Passes 9-0.
We move to item 39, which is our public art plan. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve item 39.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilwoman Williams. Thank you to our Office of Arts and Culture and our arts commissioners for their hard work on that. We're going to have some great shaded corridors and maintaining some of our most popular art programs. So I am looking forward to supporting this item. Do we have any council member comments? Roll call.
DeCiccio.
No.
Garcia.
Yes.
Nowakowski.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes, I really appreciate placing artwork around the city.
Stark.
Yes.
Waring. Waring.
Again, I said yes. Did you hear me?
Thank you, Councilman. I did now. Williams.
Yes.
Guardado.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Passes 8-1.
Wonderful. We next move to item 40, which is related to a development in Council District 7. So I will turn to Councilman Nowakowski.
Mayor, a motion to approve item number 40.
Second.
Motion and a second. We do have two members of the public to address the council on this item. Would anyone like to make comments before we go to comments, public comments? All right, we will begin with Bramley Paulin, followed by Nick Wood.
Good afternoon. As most of you know, a Superior Court judge has ruled recently that the GIPLET terms of the Derby residential tower are unconstitutional. By abating the property tax for 8 years and then offering a lowered GIPLET excise tax for 17 years, the court found that the city did not receive sufficient return for the taxpayer's investment. Further, the court did not accept the city's many arguments that the cost of construction, taxes and development fees paid to the city, and the creation of a high-rise building versus leaving a vacant lot provided benefit to the taxpayers compared to the millions of dollars of benefit provided to the developer. It is my understanding that this proposed project also provides an 8-year tax abatement and a lower GIPLET excise tax for 17 years. For the record, would staff describe how the similar terms of this proposed GIPLET project are not unconstitutional? Mayor, I ask the clock stop so staff may answer the question, and then I'll have time remaining for a brief follow-up.
You have your 2 minutes of public comment, and please continue.
Yes, there are other existing high-rise projects that do not have GIPLET assistance. What is the difference about this project that requires a GIPLET? Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Mr. Wood will be our final comment.
Mayor, members of the council, Nick Wood, Snell, Wilmer 1, Arizona Center, and I represent the developer. I'm just here to answer any questions you might have, Mayor.
Wonderful. Thank you for being available. Any council member comments or questions? All right, roll call.
DeCiccio.
No.
Garcia.
Yes.
Nowakowski.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Stark.
Yes.
Waring.
No.
Williams.
Yes.
Guardado.
Mayor, can I explain my vote?
Please do.
So I'm going to be voting, just for the record, I'm going to be voting yes on this project. But when it comes to GIPLETs, and I know Chris, you and I already had a little bit of this conversation. Like, I would like to see for us to be able to increase the amount of housing that we would be providing. I think 10%. I get it. That's very, in my opinion, is very minimal. Hopefully we can start having a conversation about how we can actually expand that and make it a little bit more than just 10%. We have very ambitious goals of being able to build affordable housing within the city of Phoenix. We know there's a huge need. With everything that's happening with COVID, I know there's a bigger need for that. So I'm hoping that we can start that conversation and also being able to expand these type of opportunities in other parts of the city as well. I know that the West Side could definitely use some of this housing, and yeah, like, I think it's going to be a great project. But I just hope that moving forward we can expand from just the 10%. So I will be voting yes. Thank you, Mayor.
Gallego.
Yes.
Passes 7-2.
Thank you. We next move to item 41, which is a foreign trade zone application. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve item 41.
Second.
Any questions or comments? Roll call.
DeCiccio,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Nowakowski,
Yes.
Pastor,
Yes.
Stark,
Yes.
Waring, I apologize, Waring,
Did you hear me?
I did not, I'm sorry.
No. No.
Thank you.
Okay.
Williams,
Yes.
Guardado,
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Passes 8-1.
Our next item is item 43, which is to accept a donation from the Phoenix Police Foundation. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve item 43.
Second.
We received 5 comments online, 2 in support and 3 in opposition. We also have 1 member of public here to speak. We will take that public comment now, and welcome back, Jacob.
Thank you. It's my final comment here, so I appreciate the mayor as well as members of the council for allowing me to speak this afternoon. I would like to voice my opposition to the continued funding of the Phoenix Police Department towards any allocation of new resources in any capacity, be it funded or donated, as long as rampant cases of excessive force and racial profiling continue to plague our beautiful community. It's baffling just how much money and resources are allocated to a police department that continues to act outside of the grounds of conduct and within the definition of excessive force. My rhetorical question is, how alarming is it that $25,000 will be allocated towards the securing of three shields? That's well over $8,000 a shield, $8,000. How many innocent, unsheltered Phoenicians could have personal resources replenished with a mere tenth of the cost of each shield? That's just something for the PPF to consider prior to this unnecessary donation. While we read the summary explaining that this will be used for the South Mountain Precinct resource team for search warrants, etc., it would be remiss of me to not consider how these resources would be weaponized against the public in the event citizens feel the need to peacefully demonstrate. I've seen comments from those who endorse this donation outright suggesting that this would be funded to protect the police officers from protesters. I have to continue to mention my connection to the We Rising project to shed light on the continued protests and demonstrations that occurred here since the end of May of this year. Protests we, for the most part, have led directly or influenced in the most part. And since the last week of May, I haven't seen as much as a flimsy water bottle thrown at a police force, police officer that has been sworn to protect this community. Instead, unfortunately, what I've witnessed is paramilitarism. What I've witnessed is the over-enforcement of legit nonviolent protesters that are peaceful in nature. What I've witnessed is unjustified incidents of tear gassing, rubber rounding, pepper spraying, and predatory arrest tactics long after instances as petty as obstructing thoroughfare occur. I've seen unarmed demonstrators armed with only their voices and the ability to obstruct faces from camera continue to harassment for exercising their rights. Just shortly here, in the past 4 months, demonstrators have seen nothing short of paramilitarism from officers sworn to protect its citizens. I find it extremely difficult to.
That concludes our public comment on this item. Council member comments or questions? Roll call.
DeCiccio,
Yes.
Garcia,
I'm going to be voting yes, but I have a request of staff. If we could figure out how it is that these donations happen. We had a situation earlier in the year where someone attempted to donate directly to the East Lake Basketball League, and we weren't allowed to because it had to be given to the general fund. They couldn't be given specifically for one thing. And so I'd be voting yes for this, but I would want to know how exactly it happens and how, if someone wanted to donate specifically for one thing or a program, that can be done. Thank you.
Nowakowski,
Yes.
Pastor,
Yes.
Stark,
Yes.
Waring,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Guardado,
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Passes 9-0.
Thank you. I will now turn to Councilman Waring.
Thanks, Mayor. On item 39, I said no, but then she doubled back to me and I stupidly said yes. So I really only have one view on the issue, and that's no. So if my vote could be recorded as a no, making the final vote 7-2 on number 39, I'd appreciate it.
And for our city attorney or city clerk, can we change the record or do we need to revote?
Mayor, members of the council, after the results have been declared, it would normally be a reconsideration, but with the technical issues that we've been encountering, we have been allowing people to correct it if it was done at or near the time.
Okay, so we will, then the record will reflect on item 39, Councilman Waring is not supportive of the public art plan.
Yes, Mayor, thank you.
And speaking of public art, we go now to item 49, fine art cleaning and maintenance at Sky Harbor Airport. Vice Mayor, do we have a motion?
Yes, motion to approve item 49.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. I will be supporting this item. We have fabulous public art at our airport and need to maintain it. For example, the glass art mural at the rental car center has some technical capabilities, and we need to have specialized cleaning. Any additional council member comments or questions? Roll call.
DeCiccio.
No.
Garcia.
Yes.
Nowakowski.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Stark.
Yes.
Waring.
No.
Williams. Williams. I apologize. I'm going to try one more time. Councilwoman Williams. Guardado.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Passes 6-2.
I hope we have Councilwoman Williams for item 54 because she has been working so hard on it for quite a while. It is the Northwest Extension Phase 2 Funding, Design, and Construction Agreement. Councilwoman Williams.
Thank you, Mayor. It's so exciting that we're getting this close to actually getting the construction underway. I just want to thank staff and everyone that's been involved for so many years that we kept moving it forward. The community is so excited, so thank you all. And move approval.
Second.
Thank you, Councilwoman Williams, for your hard work. One of the many ways you will change your district for the better. Any additional comments? Roll call.
DeCiccio.
No.
Garcia.
Yes.
Nowakowski.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Stark.
Yes.
Waring.
No.
Williams.
Yes.
Thank you. Guardado.
Mayor, I'm going to explain my vote.
Yes.
So I am very excited for this project and the expansion of the light rail into North Phoenix. I'm sure a lot of constituents are very excited about that as well. I am also glad to see the increasing enthusiasm for light rail from this council. I hope that we can again begin to discuss the expansion of light rail into West Phoenix, and that this council will continue to support light rail expansion into Maryville with the same enthusiasm as we see it today. Very grateful for that, and I will be voting yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Passes 7-2.
Our next agenda item is item 55, the amendment to the South Central Extension Downtown Hub Project Funding Agreement. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve item 55.
Second.
Any council member comments or questions? Roll call.
DeCiccio.
No.
Garcia,
Yes.
Nowakowski,
Yes.
Pastor,
Yes.
Stark,
Yes.
Waring,
No.
Williams,
Yes.
Guardado,
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Passes 7-2.
A big day for light rail in Phoenix, and I certainly agree with the vice mayor. We want to be going west just as we have voted to go north and south today. We next move to item 62 related to the water department machine shop. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve item 62?
Second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Council member comments and questions.
Oh, Mayor?
Councilman DeCiccio.
Oh, I just got a question to the water department. I assume they're there, correct?
Yes,
Yeah.
Mayor. Mayor, Councilman DeCiccio, we have Water Services Director Catherine Sorensen, and, Assistant Water Director Troy Hayes is here. Troy?
Okay, Troy, thank you, and Catherine, thank you. And Catherine, we just found out just a little while ago, well, not a little while ago, last week, that you're going to retire. You are going to be a huge loss to the city of Phoenix. We just don't have individuals of your quality in the state of Arizona, actually nationally. I mean, you're a nationally renowned individual. And I've got to tell you, we're really going to miss you. Troy, we love you and all that too, but gosh, Catherine is just off the charts. And so I wish you were staying. I mean, you're literally the best water director we've seen in a very long time. And Ed, if it had anything to do with money, I would vote to increase her salary. So just put me on the record for that. I mean, she is that good. And to have someone of your stature here at the city of Phoenix, we've been truly blessed. But I do have a question here. So our office looked it up, as my office does, and we found out that online we can buy this exact machine from this exact company online today for over $20,000 cheaper than what we're paying for here. Would you be okay if we just tore up this contract and went online and saved a bunch of money and just purchased it that way? That's to water. I mean, literally, it's over $20,000 cheaper online for the exact same machine from the exact same company. And would the water department be okay with us just tearing up this contract here and then just go buy it online?
Yeah, Mayor, Councilman DeCiccio, the issue with that would be the delay in the procurement time that we would have to go back out and solicit bids again. And so during that time, we would have to utilize a contract then to machine parts and service, parts for the different services that we have. So that would be my reluctance on doing that, would be the time delay on getting a new unit here. But yeah.
But why would we need to even do that if you can buy the same machine online if the council gave you authorization to save that $20,000?
Mayor, Councilman DeCiccio, let me also invite TJ Martin, the city's procurement manager. She's here as well, and I'll ask her to also address that.
Mayor, Councilman DeCiccio, and members of the council, I would submit that the cost that is demonstrated online often does not include delivery, installation, taxes, as well as maintenance. So the difference in the cost that you're seeing online oftentimes will not reflect these additional expenses that we will encounter.
We also checked that, and it's still a lot cheaper. We figured you'd answer it that way. It is, you can literally put on every bell and whistle on this machine, and it's still going to be cheaper.
Mayor, Councilman DeCiccio, I think you raised a good question, good point. I would suggest that we would just, continue the item until October the 7th, and we will follow up on all those questions with the manufacturer. Sorry, there's no reason for us.
Yeah, and that'd be great.
Yeah, there's no reason for us to pay more if it's not
No.
necessary. So we would be happy to do that, Councilman.
Yeah, and what we could do too is if I understand the procurement process we have to go through and all that stuff, but if the council gave directions to just go buy this machine online, we'd be better off if it's cheaper. So if you want to do your own reports on that, that'd be great.
Yeah, I think we
At
would.
least it would be a
Yes.
comparison of the research we've done.
Thank you, Councilman. I think we would suggest continuing it to October 7th, and we'll follow up on that. And if it is in fact cheaper online, we would come back with that request as well, but we'll have a full report on that.
Cool. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you so much. Councilman DeCiccio, do you have a substitute motion to continue this item?
Yes. Sorry, Mayor. I should have had that included in there. Motion to continue to October 7th, Mayor.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor, please signal aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. We will look forward to learning more. And since TJ is there, I want to say a personal thank you to all the work she's been doing in procurement, including an amazing success story with protective equipment for our city employees, as well as 29 school districts. So she and her team have been some of the unrecognized heroes at the city during the pandemic. And speaking of the pandemic, we go to item number 81, enter into a contract for 2020 COVID-19 recovery consultants for public health advisory services. We have a motion.
Motion to approve item 81.
And a second?
Second.
A motion and a second from Councilwoman Pastor. Questions and comments?
Mayor, this is Councilman Nowakowski.
Okay, we'll go to Councilman Nowakowski, Councilmember Garcia, Councilman DeCiccio.
All right, great. So, Mayor, was this a sole source bid, or how did we actually find this individual or select them?
Mayor, members of council, Councilmember Nowakowski, no, this is not a sole source. It was not a bid. How we came to this is when the governor's executive order was passed, we essentially had no notice to get ready for the city being in the position of having to approve any special event that was defined as any activity in excess of 50 people. And so at the time when the executive order passed, we had some council discussion about it. There were sentiments expressed about the fact that the city does not have public health expertise within the government. And it was advised that we might try to find that as we go forward. One of the things that took place right away with the governor's executive order is that there were event producers lined up seeking approval for events that they wanted to have. So initially, we sought to get support from other governmental jurisdictions. We were told that they didn't have the capacity to provide ongoing support. So they helped us out once, and then we moved forward. We also were able to get some support again in a one-off fashion, but what we needed was ongoing support. So we asked staff to look within the valley to try to find a number of individuals that might be qualified to provide consultative services. We looked at people from a number of the universities within the valley. And so we went through seeking who would be available and interested in providing it. And a number of, I'll just say, university-type professionals indicated they either didn't have time or didn't have a structure to lend itself to consultative services. Dr. Saskia Popescu was one of the individuals on the list who is affiliated with the University of Arizona. She was willing and was part of a firm that provides consultative services. So that is how we came to start to use that firm. And then as we continue to work on special events, most recently, the conversation has broadened to talk about reopening decisions and wanting to have public health advisor assistance as we contemplate reopening various city operations. And so at that time, we engaged them about the possibility of expanding their services to include that, and that's how it comes before you today.
So Milton, as of today, we're not allowed to give any special event license for greater than 50 people, right?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand your question.
The question is, as for today, we can't grant any special event license with people over 50, right? If there's going to be 50 or greater individuals at the event.
Mayor, members of council, Councilmember Nowakowski, as of today, we are still in the business of approving special events because the governor's executive order has not been rescinded.
Okay. And then the other question I would have is, what is the service going to be providing? I know that you talked about the special events, but are we looking at the licensing restaurants and stuff like that? Or I'm not really sure. So can you give me some examples of what this person or this group of people will be doing?
Yes, Mayor, members of council, Councilmember Nowakowski. So no, we are not dealing with providing licensing to restaurants or any kind of ongoing business establishment that has the approval to operate under the current set of executive orders and CDC guidelines. Those type businesses are permitted to operate, some with limited capacity under the current rules. We're talking about things that may only be occurring one time or a handful of times that would have an audience greater than 50. So as an example, we were asked to approve the bar exam being held at Convention Center. We were asked to approve a concert being held in a parking lot where people stay in their vehicles one time. We were asked to approve a haunted house operation for this fall. We've been asked to approve theater productions where there would be more than 50 people in an audience. So those kinds of activities have come before us in the past, and we still have a line of event producers wanting to get city approval. Another example, we were approached by the JW Marriott, who had been closed down for a period of time, and they assumed that all of their business meetings were going to be canceled because of COVID, only to find that there were two groups that still wanted to go forward with holding a business meeting of several hundred people at the JW Marriott property. So we have devised a process whereby groups seeking approval submit paperwork in advance. We then review that. We have a team of people internally, in addition to the public health advisors, that reviews the paperwork. We then set up a special WebEx meeting with the event requester, and the team, including the doctors, poses questions to them on the WebEx about what has been submitted. Depending on what they're talking about, so as an example, the haunted house is more of an unusual request. So we actually did a site visit and went to the haunted house, and the public health advisor went with us, and we went through it to see how it would operate. We also went to the JW Marriott, and we did a walkthrough to look at the facilities that would be used for the business meetings that they wanted to hold. And then, as is directed by the executive order, we ultimately issued an approval with certain conditions that they needed to follow. And so that is the manner in which the consultative services are provided. The consultants give their advice to the city, not to the requester. And so most recently, as we have started talking about perhaps reopening some city facilities that are closed, city department would formulate their vision of a reopening plan. They would submit it to our COVID team, and under this approach, the doctors would also review that plan, and we would do a WebEx with the department. And the team, including the doctors, would then question the department about how they would propose to reopen a library, a series of community centers, or whatever. And so we would have the benefit of that input so that when we bring it in front of council, we've already received input from the public health advisors, either suggesting we do it under a certain set of conditions or raise whatever cautions that the staff isn't qualified to say, but the doctors are. And that's how we would suggest that the process work.
So just my final question would be, we just opened up our park facilities for sports. And if there's more than 50 people, would there be a process that this consultant group would go through also?
Mayor, members of council, Councilmember Nowakowski, theoretically, yes. So at the time that we were having the discussion about the parks fields, we had not broached the conversation with the advisors about that, so they weren't involved in that. But the Parks Department did consult with guidance from within the industry on how facilities like that are being reopened.
And just for clarification, this is an add-on, so we really didn't have enough time to really ask these types of questions. I did draft a letter, and thank you, Milton, for answering some of those questions that I asked you in writing. So that's the reason why we're asking these questions in public, just to let the audience know. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Councilman. We will next go to Councilmember Garcia, followed by Councilman DeCiccio, followed by Councilwoman Pastor, followed by our Vice Mayor. Councilmember Garcia, floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor. This is really frustrating conversation because I think there's two votes that the council made, that we made, decisions to both take in applications, and then obviously 2 weeks ago I was upset about us reopening the parks without giving our staff the tools to make the right decision and without them being able to be prepared for this. We saw the bathroom conversation we had to have last week, again, post a decision we already made, and we're expecting our staff to figure out on their own with data from the CDC and the county. Other times I've brought this up, some of you have said there's the county's there for us. And I'm glad, Milton, you brought up today, and it's something we've known. The county does not work for us, nor have they been available to do these types of consultations. And so I'm glad we're moving in this direction. I think some of my questions are more around process of how we're going to work with them. I had no idea we were working with them on the event side. I'm glad you all did that, and I'm glad those conversations are happening. And both a question about access to either these meetings, how public are these consultants going to be, in the sense of if we had, for example, a question now and we were debating opening up the libraries or whatever our next conversation is, would they be available both here publicly on the council meetings or for questions beforehand, both to staff and ourselves, so that when we make these votes, we can be more responsible and know the types of risks that we're putting folks in. And again, I don't want to, the reason I'm so upset, and I want to again clarify, is that we still have pockets, predominantly in South and West Phoenix, of of high level of infection. And I want to remind everyone that the county numbers or CDC numbers do not take that into account. And so as we're making decisions based on county numbers, we're diluting the people that are most impacted, therefore making decisions that are discriminatory to the communities that are most impacted. And I really hope that through having these public experts, we can have those conversations so that District 5, which is the most impacted, District 7 and District 8, the ones that follow, and then District 4, we can have those conversations to make sure that the decisions we're making are also taking care of our people who are living in these pockets. And so, said a lot, but Milton, what kind of access are we going to have with them? How much how much of their time are we actually going to have to be able to make these decisions as we continue to open up?
Mayor, members of council, Councilmember Garcia. So to talk a little bit about process and how we envision it working and how to address the issues that you're raising. So what the public health advisors will not do is tell the city, you need to open this or you need to close that. What they do is start from what is it that you're considering doing. So as an example, we would take a department, so let's say the library, and the library would work on a plan for reopening. And that is in fact what is going on now. You all had directed us to start to look at that, and departments are looking at that now. So when the department completes its plan, the plan would be presented to the public health advisors. So they would have a document or something to question. They could be on a WebEx for these kinds of meetings for you all to raise your questions in front of them. They could be available for communication with you by way of phone. We simply have to give them advance notice because one is based in Phoenix and one is based in DC. And so we have been able to line both of them up when we've needed them, but we need to give notice. So if council has a desire to hear their rationale or to ask questions of them about certain things, that can be arranged.
Thank you.
Thank you. And our queue currently is we'll go to Councilman DeCiccio, then Councilwoman Pastor, then the Vice Mayor, and Councilwoman Stark just raised her hand. So we have active council participation in this. And I certainly want to thank our staff. When we did the response to the governor's executive order, we talked about this consultant, and then last week, the city manager agreed to speed up the procurement as we discussed parks reopening and the need for medical advice. So I appreciate staff being very responsive to council on this. We'll turn to Councilman DeCiccio.
Thank you, Mayor. So mine is more just a comment on this group. One, other than it being rushed through, the way it was here without going through a real process, at least from my perspective. And then two, if you're going to do this, you'd want to make sure you'd have at least an epidemiologist or a virologist on board. None of this is here with this group. I had my staff look them up, and they're not. And you would want at least some basis and foundation to their recommendation other than them reading reports, which we could do ourselves. So I'm not going to be supporting this, Mayor. I just don't think it's logical to be doing this with this group. Thank you, Mayor.
Mayor?
Yes.
Mayor, members of council, I just for clarification, I certainly accept the comments that the councilman has made, but Dr. Popescu is an epidemiologist, and she's based here at the University of Arizona, and she is part of the team that's reviewing what we're doing.
Yes, thank you. She is one of America's leading infectious disease epidemiologists, and I consider our community lucky that she is a resident. She's been featured nationally throughout COVID-19 and has a very impressive background. We next go to Councilwoman Pastor.
So I think this has arrived in a timely manner, and appreciate the staff getting us here. This was part of an ask from the very beginning of when we started in March, or mid-February, March, and it's taken us to this point. My directive, because it's always, I always hear from staff that there need to be a directive given to staff, and if we don't give a directive, then it's placed in or interpreted sometimes differently than what we would like to see. So what I want to see this contract to review each department's COVID reopening plan, and then to create a master plan for the city with a timeline for each department for reopening, using uniform metrics, update as needed, following the CDC guidelines, and then looking specifically at the city and county hotspots of our area. Will this contract be able to do that?
Mayor, members of council, Councilwoman Pastor, certainly the public health advisors can look at any department's plans for reopening. It does take time to do that, but when you think about the organization that we have, we're not talking about 28 different departments. There's only a handful that have closed facilities, so it's just for those. But yes, they would be available to do that. The looking at hotspots, I'm not so sure about that part as the contract is currently constructed, but certainly they will be able to provide a review of each department, and they would be able to share their views on each department with you.
So Milton, what I'm asking for and what I'm requesting is that they take each department's COVID reopening plan and along with staff, create a city master plan of opening up our areas. And when I talk about hotspots, we know that by our zip codes and by the data that we have, we know where those hotspots are within our city. So I would like to see a master plan on how we're going to reopen within those departments with a timeline. I don't think it's wise to be opening this one spot, opening this other spot. Now let's go do this. Now let's go do this. And each department has a plan, and each department uses different metrics on how they're doing it. I will use the parks example. They're using the National Parks Association to determine what is safe is what is not safe. I think we need to have a uniform metrics on how we go about doing what we're doing.
Mayor, members of council, Councilwoman Pastor, that is certainly doable.
Thank you.
Thank you. We next go to our Vice Mayor, followed by Councilwoman Stark.
Yeah, so just following up on some of the stuff that some of the council members already said, like for example, obviously I'm very concerned because I have some of the highest cases out in Maryville. Cartwright School District is not going to be reopening the schools in October because of the pandemic, and I know that Pendergast is still looking at stuff, and they're going to let parents know 2-3 weeks before October 12th on what they're going to be doing. So moving, I would like to see how we, how we can actually look at Maryvale and figure out, like maybe some of the areas that will be opening up, it makes sense to do it in some parts of the city. But I believe if the numbers continue to be what they are right now in Maryvale, I'm not exactly sure how comfortable I would feel opening up stuff in Maryvale. So hopefully we can get to some of that type of detail when the departments are looking at their plans to opening stuff up. Like, yeah, definitely like what Councilmember Garcia said, wanting to making sure that community and us are part of the process on how we make that happen, and how we all get included in those conversations, especially because there's some parts of the city that are being hit harder with COVID than others. So I'm hoping that we take that into consideration as we're making these decisions. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Stark.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to go ahead and support this because Milton has suggested that the county, which is our public health agency, just does not have the time. But I do take exception with the fact that Councilman Garcia, you stated that the county doesn't work for us. They do indeed work for us. I called them yesterday. We have a problem, a vector control problem in one of my neighborhoods. I called them and they're out. They're studying it. They do work for us. But again, because they're extremely busy, I will support this. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Pastor.
Milton, I have a follow-up question, and the question is, because I want to make sure that timelines are part of the, I guess, the city master plan of reopening. That's what I'll call it. Do you know, I'm putting you on the spot, and it's okay if you don't have the answer, but how quickly they could look at this and get it back to us, or a timeline of where we can discuss the plan? Because my understanding is that there's a lot of pressure regarding the parks and libraries and even part of the senior centers. And I want to be able to have that discussion with their thoughts in mind when a master plan is created.
So, Mayor, members of council, Councilmember Pastor, so in terms of a process, I can't give you a date certain sitting here when it could happen, but I can share with you how it would need to happen. First of all, the departments would have to formulate their plans in writing so that we could submit them to the doctors. They would then need a period of time to review what we have submitted so they can formulate either their questions or their concerns about what they're looking at. We would then need to be involved with them in discussion on sort of what it is we're trying to do. So we'd lay out for them, council is asking for sort of a master strategy for reopening the facilities. And so that would take some time. How much time, I can't answer. What we will do is certainly let the two doctors know that it's in the works. And depending on when the departments get it to me, to our office, so we could get it to the doctors, then I'd be able to give you an answer. But I can't quote a date sitting here today.
And if I could just add to that, to the councilwoman's question. So I spoke today with the chair of the Parks Board, Mr. Moya, and the Parks Board next week is going to discuss the remaining outdoor facilities in the park system that are closed, the sport courts, particularly basketball, ramadas and those things, to give their opinion. Then we would plan to be able to come to the council at its meeting following that with, for example, specific recommendations on those facilities, and we would have these doctors would weigh in on that as well. If you think about the other things we have, the library department is one with a lot of facilities that are spread citywide. They are currently working on a plan. We would make sure that the doctors would be reviewing those plans. And then it would be a question for the council, as was raised, as to whether there's a uniform opening plan across the city or whether we would have something that would be not uniform based on different measures within areas of the city that the council would want to consider. And we would work with the doctors on those. And probably the last thing that we would want to open, given the population, would be our senior centers. But we are starting to work on what that would look like to reopen our senior centers, and we would use the services of these doctors in reviewing that as well. So those are the primary external-facing city services and how we would work through those, with the first one being the remaining outdoor parks facilities that are currently closed by council order.
And see, Ed, because we're having this discussion, and that is why I think there should be a master plan strategy, that I would prefer that the Parks Board have that conversation, maybe not in September, but in October, because then there's enough time for these departments to at least have submitted their COVID reopening plan, and then be able to use the metrics that is being requested, because this is, you're making my point at this moment that we're using different metrics and different associations of doing this when we just need a uniform way of doing it. And I feel like we're hodgepodging it here, there, when it's convenient. And I just think we have to be mindful in the way we do it and how we go about doing it. And it being really a master plan strategy, as Milton said. And so I think you're proving my point at this moment, that that's why I want a master plan with these consultants' eyes.
Certainly we could do that. I think the Parks Board probably wants to talk about it anyway under their purview, but the decision is ultimately the council's. But if there's a desire for a broader, bigger master plan, we can absolutely put that together and bring that to the council. That we have the ability to do that, yes, if that's the direction of the full council.
Thank you.
I think it makes sense for the outdoor activities for us to take a look at first. To the extent we have good public health information, it does seem to indicate that most transmission is occurring indoors. And so I agree with the city manager. Parks is a good place to start, and senior centers is a good final step. Councilmember Garcia.
Mayor, wanted to agree with Councilwoman Pastor. I think if we can have some consistency, we can have our own matrix, it's going to make the decisions as they come up easier for us. And so I hope that we can come together with some sort of plan, metrics, that we can make that happen, Ed. And then the final thing is, again, from the beginning of this, we are the 5th largest city in the country. We do not have our own public health department. And I really, again, talking to my colleagues here, talking to the staff, that we should think about establishing an office in the city that is responsible for public health, so that, hopefully we never have to go through another pandemic like this. But if there is something like this, or something where we need that expertise, it's already in-house, and that we're making the decision we're making with a public health perspective. And again, I understand the counties there, Councilwoman Stark, and I know that they work with us, alongside of us, but it would, to me, this is as important as to say, the way it's as if, they have their own housing and development department. So why do we need ours? They have the sheriff's department. Why do we need our own police? And so the argument I'm trying to make is that the county has other priorities, has 25 jurisdictions, and it focuses in other areas for our urban core, for the city of Phoenix. I do believe we deserve and need long-term expertise in public health for all the decisions we make, just like we value our other departments' input and when we're making this decision. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember. Roll call.
DeCiccio,
No.
Garcia,
Yes.
Nowakowski,
Mayor, I'd like to explain my vote. Mayor, I'm going to be a no for right now because I think that this was put on the agenda at the 11th hour. We really don't have a matrix. I really don't know what the purpose and what they're going to be serving. Are we going to follow the governor's office, the county, and the state to ensure that we're not violating any executive orders or that we can be trumped by the county or the state? I just want to make sure that we just have everything in line, that there's a plan, that we know that if there's a special event license, what are the steps for that? I'm not really clear about that. If our convention center is going to start to open, what's the process and what are they going to, if there's a matrix of what these individuals are going to do to allow us to start opening our conventions for more than 50 people. Our parks, we just opened up the fields. Some of those teams have more than 50 individuals playing at the same time. So I'm not really sure. I think that I would like to have some more time to develop a matrix and basically get some guidelines that we want these individuals to follow and to make sure that our city's safe. And I agree with Councilman Garcia that we should have somebody, some department that looks at the health of all the different departments and all the different services that we provide. And I know that people are saying that the library should start being opening and the senior centers and all that. And this would be an excellent group of individuals to give us some kind of guidance or some kind of plan on how to open that. But I'm not really sure. And a lot of the questions I was asking aren't really answered. So that's why I'll be voting no. I think it's a good concept, but I think we still need to work it out. Thank you.
Pastor,
I'm going to explain my vote. I'll be voting yes with the knowledge and knowing that we will build a master plan strategy that includes the departments that are reopening. And specifically, since we're looking at the parks, I would like to see the different levels of those areas of how they're going to reopen and what metrics we will be using in that space. Or it's very important that we have a strategy and a plan and not going by one department, another department. We have our strategy laid out and is able then to update it as needed as things are so fluid in COVID-19. Thank you.
Stark,
Yes.
Waring, I apologize, Waring,
You didn't hear me. No.
thank you, I heard you now. Williams,
I have a question. Is this forevermore or for a limited time?
Mayor, members of council, Councilmember Williams, no, it's not forevermore. Initially, it's 3 months with the ability to extend. The other factor, 6 months. The other factor is we're paying for these services out of COVID dollars, and they run out December 31st. So if we wanted this kind of help beyond December 31, we'd have to identify a funding source to cover it.
Thank you. I will say yes till December 31st.
Guardado,
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Passes 6-3.
Item 81 was our final agendized item for the September 16th, 2020 Phoenix City Council meeting. We next move to public comment. Will our city attorney please introduce the public comment section of our meeting?
Yes, Mayor, members of the council. During citizen comment, members of the public may address the city council for up to 3 minutes on issues of interest or concern to them. The Arizona Open Meeting Law permits the city council to listen to the comments, but prohibits council members from discussing or acting on the matters presented.
We will begin with Summer Bagley, followed by Alicia McKinley.
Hello, Mayor and City Council. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Great. I would like to take this time to discuss our beloved Phoenix parks and their continued closure for the last 7 months. I'm here as a concerned and exhausted mother of 3 who is pleading on behalf of Phoenix families and children for the full and immediate reopening of our public parks for the mental and physical health and well-being of our families and children. We are tired of showing up to playgrounds, picnic benches, ramadas, restrooms, basketball courts, volleyball courts, and fitness equipment being enveloped in yellow caution tape for 7 months. In recognition of Mental Health Awareness Month, I ask that you seriously consider how children and families use these parks, especially the playgrounds, to exercise and have fun and enjoy the outdoors. I will add that exercise improves mental health by reducing anxiety, depression, and negative mood, by improving self-esteem and cognitive function. In closing, I would just like to say, if my child can be in church, daycare, which is never closed, preschool, Costco, travel the world, and go to any restaurant, and go any direction, 15 minutes in any direction of here, to play at a park, we should be able to play here at our own neighborhood park. If the fields can be open for 50 or more, I feel that playgrounds should be open as well. I implore the parks to open as soon as possible and for the Parks Board to meet as soon as possible to discuss this. Thank you for your time this evening.
I understand that Alicia is no longer with us, so we will go to Michael Rogers, followed by Laurel Langmaid.
Yes, am I coming through loud and clear?
You are coming through loud and clear.
That's good, because I've been waiting since 2:30, Mayor. Thank you for allowing me to speak. Mayor Gallego, members of council, my name is Michael Rogers, and I chair the Papago Vista Neighborhood Association, and I certainly thank you for this opportunity to speak. Madam Mayor, I support the Madison Pioneers Coalition, and I'm here to ask you respectfully to please accept our invitation to meet with our group. We're dedicated to working toward constructive, real-world solutions to the issues neighborhoods and businesses face regarding the impact of homelessness, and believe our input is valuable to the process of drafting the City of Phoenix Homeless Initiative. I live in East Phoenix, and we understand that over in this end of the neighborhood that the issues the Madison Pioneers Coalition seek to address downtown have clearly encroached on our area as well and are most certainly of citywide concern. We seek an ongoing voice and direct and ongoing participation in this process. I attended 2 of the online public feedback meetings and did not hear my questions addressed. This troubles me greatly, and I believe we need to meet with you in order to move this process forward and gain inclusion of the citizenry in this most important process. I thank you again for considering my remarks, and I would hope you would consider our request to meet. Thank you very much.
Laurel is next, followed by Kellen Wilson.
I want to thank you for having me. I want to reiterate what the previous gentleman said, and I hope you do take him up on his offer, because what's happening in downtown Phoenix around the Human Services campus is abysmal. I recognize Phoenix has been a problem, or homelessness has been a problem in Phoenix since probably Phoenix has been in existence. But I think now is the time for bold actions to be taken. I mean, there's 2 things. If people break the law, they should be held accountable. If people need help, they need help. But then also you as our elected officials need to also be accountable to the problem that exists in Phoenix, and not only Phoenix, but the whole valley, and then also the state. You all have our voice. But I recognize that we don't often have the time or enough people or enough resources to handle it. So I'm going to offer a suggestion. How about somebody take it and tap into the Department of Homeland Security? For their mission is to secure the nation from the many threats we face, to safeguard the American people. And what we're facing with the homeless people on the street is threatening our neighborhoods and our businesses, but it's also a threat to them. Why can't we use ICE's immigration facilities to house the people on the street? And in turn, use the people, whether they be the immigrants or the people that have been kind of are housed in these facilities, to start working on what our country needs. You know, right now, our West is on fire, and we're going to need people to help fight the fires, to help clean up, to help to replant the destroyed land. And maybe this could be a use for the people that are in these facilities. But some may think that using the ICE facilities for housing or detaining the manpower is wrong for the homeless people. But so is leaving the homeless people on the streets of Arizona when it's so hot. There's health issues, and you know what the issues are. I don't have to list them. It's disrupted to our neighborhoods, and we need you to start trying to not just kick the can down the road for this problem, but start taking some action. Thank you.
Kellen is no longer online, so we will next go to Joel, and then Bill will be our final speaker.
Mayor Gallego,
Yes.
I want to thank both you and the City Council for all the wonderful work that you've done in such difficult times. And I want to encourage you strongly, please, to follow Angela Ojil's request to have a meeting with the Madison Street Coalition, Madison Pioneer Coalition, as well as the other major neighborhood groups to discuss the health and welfare and safety of our communities. And we need to meet, we need to talk, you need to see, and I really encourage you if you would honor her request. Thank you very much. It's been a long day. I'm done.
Bill will be our final speaker of this meeting. And it does look like Bill is logged in. Okay, great.
Hi, this is Bill Moreland. I am also calling on behalf of the Madison Pioneers Coalition. And I wanted to reiterate the other requests, Mayor Gallego, for you to honor Angela Ojile and our coalition's request to meet with you. We think that our voice as the neighborhood down by the Human Services campus is very important in the city's plans to address the homeless situation. It is can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I'm sorry. Were you able to hear me that whole time? I apologize.
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay. I'm sorry. Sorry about that. We think that our voice as the people who are directly affected in the neighborhood is crucial. We have a lot of ideas, and we support a lot of what the city is doing, and we would like to work with the city in order to continue to make everything better. So I just strongly urge you, Mayor Gallego, to please honor Angela Ojile and the Madison Pioneers Coalition request and meet with us, and let's talk about how we can solve some of these issues together. Thank you very much, and thank you for everything that you have been doing to address this issue up till now.
Thank you. We are adjourned.